Hey wrestling fans, welcome to another edition of the Classic Championship Wrestling Wrap-Up here. As many of you know, not too very long ago, I had the chance to speak to Bobo Brazil Jr. live about the big event, Valentine Violence, coming up at the Steve Hogg Rec Center, 775 North Main Street, on Saturday night, February the 8th, with a 7 p.m. start time. Bobo said he's coming for Ox Baker, our world champion, with his father's boots and his father's robe. Well, guess what? Ox is responding. And you won't want to miss this response. Plus, does he have the Russian Brute in training for Nikolai Volkov, the big flag match taking place on February the 8th? We're going to hear it all right now from the man they call Mr. Fantastic, the one and only Ox Baker. This is Scott Spears, and Classic Championship Wrestling is returning to the Steve Hogg Rec Center located at 775 North Main Street on Saturday night, February the 8th, with a 7 p.m. start time. One of the big events that night is a flag match. It will feature some legendary wrestling superstars. In one corner, representing America, will be WWE Hall of Famer Nikolai Volkov. In the other corner, two men who haven't been together for 30 years, representing Russia. The Russian Brute will be wrestling on behalf of Russia, and in his corner, the mastermind behind the Russian Brute, the man we're looking at right now, the man who's killed two men with the heart punch, Ox Baker. Ox, we've got you via satellite from your home in Connecticut. How are you?
Well, I got to tell you, Sue, we just had a thrill of a lifetime. I cooked a big meatloaf, and Rebecca ate some of it, and her eyes got big as saucers. And you know what she said? She said, "It's almost as good as I can do," you know. But that's out of my cookbook I have. Yeah, I have one. But let's talk about February the 8th. I'm going to have the Russian Brute. 30 years ago, I discovered him in Illinois, and I took him all over the world, and now we have a great match in Marion, Ohio, the 8th of February. And who do we have? This is so-called Russian, who's going as American now, Nikolai Volkov. You know, Volkov, over the years, I disliked you a lot. One time when I go to the gym, you make fun of me, said I can only bench press 220 pounds, I can only do this and that, and he always made fun of me. But February 8th, he's not going to be making fun of me, Scott. You won't get any laughs that night, because I'm going to have the Russian Brute knock him down and use the world-famous hurt punch that Ox Baker discovered and developed himself. Everybody don't know that the other weekend I was there, I won that world title. I noticed you didn't happen to mention that, you know.
That is absolutely.
I also heard through the grapevine that you've been sneaky and tricky again. You're having as a special guest this here, Bobo Jr. He's got a few things to say to me. Well, I have a few things to say to him. The last time I saw him, he was on his hands and knees saying, "Please don't hit me again. Don't hit me again." Well, the Russian Brute has told me, "Ox, you need a great win in Marion, Ohio, February 8th. I'm going to give you one. I'm going to come out there with that Russian flag. We're going to sing the Russian national anthem together, and then we're going to go beat up." You know, I don't like that, man. And I'm going to tell the Russian Brute, when you knock him down, do what a gentleman would do. Kick him right in the face. Oh, I love it. See the look on their face when I see that boot upside of their face. And get ready February 8th, because it's going to be against America. And if you studied your history book like I have, you know, why don't you just read the comic books in the newspaper, but for years have been the greatest ice skaters in the world. They've been the greatest wrestlers in the world. And that night, February 8th, Ox Baker is going to have the Russian Brute, who've been together 30, 35 years. And all I can say is Koloff, not Koloff, What's his name?
Nikolai Volkov. He doesn't like you, Ox. He doesn't like you.
I beat somebody up. I always forget what their name is. But you got to take another beating. I hope he's the man down. Just say, you're still number one. You're still the best, you know. And I bet you have a few more surprises for me, Mr. Scott.
I do, and I want to bring one of them up right now. The CCW Board of Directors has ruled that if you get involved in this match, Ox, not only will your man be automatically disqualified, but you will be fined in excess of $1,000, and possibly more, depending on the situation.
Again, you're stabbing me in the back, Scott. You're tying my hands together.
Well, you know, we know how deep...
I can promise you, as a great star that I am, you know, you notice I got on one of my famous aprons, and anybody buys one of my cookbooks gets a free $10 apron, you know, and if you buy two of them, I'll even hug your ugly grandmother or something, you know. Because folks, I'm there that night, and February, you better mark it down. You couldn't be there when your mother and father were born, but you can be there for... It's the Ox Baker with the Russian brood. This year, he's going to bring the American flag, but I'm going to bring the Russian flag. And again, I want you folks to stay at ringside. Listen to what I say now. It's Premier Ox tonight, the Premier of Wrestling. It's a Premier. I'll spell it with P-R-E-T-E-Y, you know. But the Russian Premier will be there in the full Ox Baker, and I'm telling you, the Russian group has a lot of surprises. And Scott, get that look off your face.
Well, let me tell you this, Ox. I want to bring this up right now because I love giving you bad news. It's one of my favorite things to do. And coming up, not only will you be disqualified if you get involved, not only will you be fined in excess of $1,000 and maybe more if you interfere in that match, but Bobo Brazil Jr. will be standing in Nikolai Volkov's corner. Yeah.
He better not get close to me. I'll beat him white when I get through with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ox, he's told me that if you try to get involved in that match, he's got a cocoa butt that he's never hit you with called the Titanium Cocoa Butt, and you won't make it out of the arena that night.
The orange gets fired against me, Scott. But like Rebecca said, your meatloaf was almost as good as mine was. It was just a hair off. She did a great cook. She uses my cookbook all the time, you know. And you ought to see her boil water. She does a great job there. But February 8th, folks, please come down to the auditorium there. What time is it, Scott?
7 o'clock.
Be there at 7 o'clock. You can meet Ox. You can meet and greet us, but make sure you see Premier Ox, because that's what my name is going to be that night.
Now, I have another thing to bring up here, Ox. Not only will Bobo be there in the corner of Nikolai Volkov, but he wants to meet you in the ring before that match. Not for a match. Not for a match. He knows you're the world champion, and I was going to get to that. He's going to issue a challenge to you that night. Not any challenge, because we know you'll back out of any challenge, but he has told me Bobo Brazil Jr. coming to challenge you in the center of the ring that night, and on that night he's bringing his father, the legendary Bobo Brazil's jacket, 60 years old, boots, 60 years old, and he says, Ox, if you take the challenge and you're able to pin him come March, April, whenever that spectacular match would take place, that you will take the boots, you will take the coat, and Bobo Jr. will retire from the wrestling business.
You know, I want to tell you one thing. I got 16 old robes that I'm fixing up right now. I got a $400 pair of shoes, and if he can beat me that night or anybody I put in there, I'll take them boots, I'll take that robe, I'll burn them right in the center of the ring. Because that's my challenge to him, because I've beat him twice, and the third time is a charm.
Ox, these are his father's boots and jacket. You knew Bobo Sr. very well. What would it mean to you to take possession of those? That's like taking a man's soul.
You know, all I can say is, Bobo Jr., you're not in my category whatsoever. You know, my meatloaf was almost as good as Rebecca's, you know. But I have my cookbook that I'm signing some autographs. I got my, if you buy a cookbook, you get one of Oxby. This is a collection. These are 20 years old. I got this one. I got that one. I got a dozen of them. And folks, be there February 8th. You're going to see one big licking. My Russian producer is going to get his hand. I'm going to take your flag. And like I say, folks, when you come in and talk to me, Premier Ox. Premier Ox. Let's all say it together. Premier Ox.
I just got some of the most terrible news of my life. I just learned that night doing commentary with me is going to be you, Ox Baker, and I hope you've taken a shower this time, because last time it took me 6 weeks to get the smell out of my clothes.
You know, just for that spot, I'm going to order an ambulance that night. They might have to carry either one of the announcers away or Nikolai Volkov. Folks, come and see someone beat up so bad they have to go to the hospital. It could be the announcer, and it could be the man representing America that night. But the Premier Ox, will make you wait until February 8th to see me turn loose, because your smart aleck attitude, you know, and I can tell right now, you don't like me. Well, that's too bad, because I want you to know right, I don't like you either.
Well, how kind of you, Ox. I'm sure that'll make for a good night at the announce table. I heard one time they invited all your friends over for a birthday party. Nobody showed up. Sad.
I don't know who writes your material, Scott, but you better get some new material. I think I've heard everything you got to, and you better announce and match it right, because I'm going to be sitting right by your side February 8th, and that commentary right with you, and you better do a good job, or I think I might have to backhand you.
Evil as always, but I tell you what, it's going to be an epic battle, because Ox Baker's back with the Russian brute, but Bobo Brazil Jr. is gunning for this man. The man on your screen right now, Bobo Jr.'s gunning for him, and he will be in the corner of Nikolai Volkov, who represents America. Ox, I got to ask you one thing before we get out of here. How is it that you've turned, why are you aligning yourself with Russia?
Well, the idea is I like a winner. I don't care if they're ugly, their ears are bigger than mine, or their mouth is bigger than mine. I just like a winner, and the Russian brute. Now listen what I got to say. The Russian brute is a winner, and he'll get his hand raised that night, and I will applaud him. And folks, don't forget February 8th.
February 8th, the Steve Hogg Rec Center. It is Valentine Violence with a 7 p.m. start time. You can get your tickets by going to US Gold, 1207 Mount Vernon Avenue in Marion. $8 a ticket. You can see legends that night. You can see reunions. You can see a whole lot of action. It is going to be something you don't want to miss. And look at that Chef Ox. You can get one of those great aprons and a cookbook. Ox, will you be making dinner that night?
Don't worry about it. Just be there. I'll do my part.
Ox Baker, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary one who probably won't make it out of the building on February the 8th. Ox Baker, a man never without words. Aren't we lucky? Again, fans, this all comes up February the 8th. It's Valentine Violence over at the Steve Hogg Rec Center located at 775 North Main Street. You can't miss this. Get your tickets by going to US Gold, 1207 Mount Vernon Avenue, right here in Marion. $8 a seat. That is a bargain. For now, I got to get out of here, but the match, the card, the event, the organization is heating up, without question. Until next time, wrestling fans,